Okay, so we got beliefs and we got truths. Are they the same thing? Are they different? Well, keep watching and you'll understand. And when you know the difference, it's going to totally change the way that you look at other people, the way you show up for other people. It'll make a huge difference in your life. So what is truth? There's a lot of different things that go into that. There's a fact, there's an absolute truth, there's what I believe to be true, there's the perception of truth. It's kind of a loaded question. What is truth? So let's actually start with absolute truth. What are some absolute truths? And when I think about absolute truth, there really are very few. One of the absolute truths that we live with in our lives is gravity. It's an absolute truth that if I walk off of a porch, I'm going to go down. There's an absolute truth, and maybe even a little bit of perceived absolute truth, that the sun's going to come up tomorrow. I assume that's going to happen because it happens every day, but there are places on this earth where the sun doesn't really come up. It kind of goes around like this on certain times of the year. So there's perception of truth or perception of reality, and there are my beliefs that feel true. So I want to talk a little bit about that as well, because I might have a belief and you might have a belief that is completely different. I have a belief that it's important for me to get up at 5 a.m. and to do my GPS, my meditation every morning. You might have a belief that at 5 a.m. you should be in bed. So that's my perception of, or that's my belief that for me feels like a truth. And you have a belief that feels like a truth to you. And so when you think about that, how does that really affect our relationships? A lot of times I have a belief that is really important to me, and I might actually even try to push that belief onto you because I think it will make your life happier. You know, maybe there's a certain way to live, or way to have your house, or way to raise your kids, or whatever, that I feel like maybe if you would change the way that you do that, it would be a little bit easier for you. And I want to share that belief with you. And for me, it feels like a truth because in my life, I've seen that it works. But for you and your different personality and the different personality of your kids, the way you raise your kids is probably the best for you. So when we throw these two things together, truth and belief, sometimes it can cause some issues within relationships. And one of the easiest ways to diffuse that is to come to common ground on fact, okay? Finding a fact that both of you can agree on. And so a fact would be a little bit closer to an absolute truth. It would be something that affects you, it affects me, it affects every person on the planet, and therefore we can agree on that one piece. And then we can also agree that it's important that you have your beliefs and that I have my beliefs, and that we allow freedom to be able to live within our belief system. Our belief systems help to form our opinions as well. And I might have an opinion that I'm really strongly, I'm really firm on because of my belief system. But if someone else, if you come and share your opinion, I may not agree with it at first, but if you share it from the space of this is what I believe and therefore I have this opinion, if I'm open to possibly taking a look at another person's beliefs and seeing if it's something that has some value, then there's a possibility that I might change my opinion. So opinions and beliefs are things that are changeable. Absolute truths and facts are a little bit more solid. And the closer that we can get to bring our opinions and our beliefs to absolute truth and fact, the easier it's going to be for us to find common ground. All right, so let's actually switch gears for just a second. Let's go into this conversation of limiting beliefs, because I might choose beliefs that are really working for me, and I create my opinions, and I live my life, and I raise my family and all of these things, and I'm doing good things with those beliefs. But then when we throw in this idea of limiting beliefs, totally changes things, right? And so there might be some beliefs that I've gathered in my life that were created maybe in an emotional moment when there was a trauma, or somebody left me, and a friend when I was 8 years old left me on the playground all by myself and went and played with some other friends, and I might have created a belief that I'm not lovable or something like that. And those kinds of beliefs, I'm not lovable, they're obviously not absolute truths. They're beliefs that we chose about for ourselves, and they're not going to bring about really good outcomes, right? If I believe that I'm not lovable, then I'm going to bring people into my life who are going to treat me in a not lovable way. These types of beliefs can be damaging. They're not absolute truths, but they can formulate opinions. They can help us formulate opinions about ourselves and about other people too, and the way that we connect with other people, what we're able to bring into our lives, how we're able to create in a very distorted way. So what I mentioned before about aligning our beliefs with as close as possible to the absolute truths, that's what's going to clear all of those limitations away. So let's just take that limiting belief, I'm not lovable, for instance. Is that an absolute truth? Absolutely not. The truth is that every single one of us has divine worth, and every single one of us is lovable. Every single one of us has someone out there that loves us, even if it's just God. If you can't find anybody else but God that loves you. And every single one of us has the opportunity to find love within ourselves and to love ourselves. So for me to make that statement, I'm not lovable, it's not even a truth. It's very far from a truth. So it's funny that I would even choose that as a belief, but sometimes we do. So to find a different belief that's in more alignment with higher truth, I am lovable. And maybe you can't even believe that 100%. There are people who love me. I choose to be loved. I know God loves me. I'm seeking to love myself. So there's ways that we can say that are higher truth, even if it's not the absolute truth that I'm going to say the absolute truth is that every single person is lovable. But even if we can't even believe that high, we can maybe believe just a little bit lower that there are people who love me, or I choose to be loved, or I'm seeking to love myself. So how does this all play into creating a more awesome life for yourself? First of all, noticing that we all have beliefs. So I have beliefs, you have beliefs, my neighbor have beliefs, and that all of us are free to create our own belief system. And we're going to formulate our opinions based on our belief system. So if somebody has a different opinion than you, it's just based on their belief system. And one of the easiest ways to find common ground is to find a fact or an absolute truth that you can agree on. And so as you're talking, just find that fact or absolute truth, and then build upon that. And if you do discover that you've got a limiting belief, something that would not allow you to be your highest and best self, or to show up as in the most powerful way that you can, and the happiest being the happiest that you can be, then know that you have the choice. Beliefs and opinions, they can be changed. Absolute truths and facts are a little bit more stable, and so it would behoove us to bring our beliefs and opinions into alignment with those absolute truths and facts as much as possible. And then just constantly every day knowing that we have that ability to level up and to constantly be seeking out ways that we can move our beliefs towards truth, and doing that on a daily basis. I'm going to challenge you to really take a look at your beliefs and see if they are as high of a truth as possible. And if not, I encourage you to level up those beliefs so that your life is going to be easier, your relationships will be more awesome. Thanks for watching today, and be sure to share with your friends.